Tayo Viosu, the founder and CEO of Pagatech, joins us now to discuss the role fintech could play in this plan's process. Many thanks for being a part of today's show, Tayo.
Thank you for being here,
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So it's the 9th anniversary of your company, Pagatech. How do you feel?
Feels amazing. It's very exciting to get to this milestone. It's not been an easy road, but we're very excited. But what really excites me the most are the lives that we're touching through our service. People who creating jobs for people and bringing financial services to the mass market. So that really excites me.
Speaking about financial services, financial inclusion, that's an ongoing conversation. And we've come a long way. But then there's still a lot of ground to cover. But it would appear that we've gained more traction. The numbers are improving. We're not where we're supposed to be, but they're improving. But so tell us about how you've been able to be part of that story. That's Paga, and I know that, the whole idea is to bring people from the informal sector into the formal sector, get people using, and of course that's been happening through mobile phones, but just get people to start using, these services.
Absolutely. So the vision that we have at Paga is to make it easy for people to send money to each other and then to access financial services. And the way we do this is through what we call a network of agents. And these are mom and pop shops in communities all around Nigeria. And the benefit of that is that people can go somewhere where they trust someone in their local community, have a conversation about a financial product and get access to it. And so today we have about 14,000 of these agents. Our target is to actually have about 95,000 by 2020. And we're going to do that in partnership with what was just mentioned earlier about the partnership with the banks and the central bank. But the goal is to then offer a variety of financial services at the agents. Actually, so yesterday we launched, very excited about this, we launched a savings product that you can now go to a Paga agent and get access to a savings product. And this is just an example of things that we would do with different financial institutions. And so the idea is that as we roll out the agent network, you can then add additional services.
Okay, Tayo, hold that thought for us while we just adjust your microphone. But Dami, interesting to see that we're gaining traction. I've spoken to a number of bankers, businessmen, people who are like Tayo who are in that business, but they keep talking about the challenges, because if you look at it, Nigeria is a very big country, 180 million people. Here Tayo talking about this X number of agents, but the question is, how much ground can we cover with that? How many more Pagas do we have? How many more do we need to have to cover that ground and get the numbers that we need?
But the thing about this plan that they're talking about, the shared agent network plan, is that it's quite aggressive. They plan to get 500,000 agents on the ground by 2020. And this should go a long way, because if you have 500,000 people, 500,000 bodies, that means that you can reach communities that you may not have been able to reach previously. Okay,
Tayo, do you agree?
No, I agree with that. It is an aggressive plan, but I think we're confident in the plan because there are about 10 companies actually that have been selected. So it's not just about Paga. So there are 10 companies that have been selected, and I think, frankly, if half of us do the work and do it well, we can get very close to the target. And I fully expect everyone has taken this very seriously. The banks are now really paying attention to how do we achieve financial inclusion. And fundamentally, we think the way to achieve it is by building out that agent network and then layering on services over digital. Okay. So for example, *242# is available on all mobile networks, right? So you can access that on all mobile networks. *901, *737 from GTA, it's available on all mobile networks. So you actually have the approach that I think works in a country as big as Nigeria, is to have digital financial services that are independent of mobile network operators.
I was just going to say that.
And allows you to drive across all networks and reaches the mass market through the agents. Okay, so that issue of some parts of the country not being covered by the telcos, what do those people do? They have cell phones and they want to use them, but this is actually a really good point. So they're actually it's interesting when you overlay Nigeria with the cell phone coverage and the bank coverage, and you realize it's actually not that very different. So not as much of Nigeria is covered. The hinter parts of Nigeria are really not covered by cell phone coverage either, yet. So what companies like us are thinking about are there offline ways for us to reach those populations? And those are the kinds of innovations that we're working on now. And saying that how can you reach someone and still offer them a financial product without having a cell phone signal?
Yeah, that sounds like a tricky problem. But then my question is, at this meeting, if it's about financial inclusion, I didn't hear any mention of the telcos actually being there. Should they have been? do you think?
So the telcos are actually there. So one of the 10 companies selected is Globalcom.
Okay.
So Globalcom has said it's going to build out a network of agents and share it with the financial sector. So they are present. But the telcos do have a role to play. Their infrastructure, particularly USSD, is one of the primary channels through which we can reach the mass market. Okay. And they make money on every single transaction as people are on that network doing transactions. So they do have a very strong role to play, and we believe it's about partnership with the telcos and making sure that they do make money through these transactions.
This model that we're using to capture that mass, informal market, are we following a model from outside of the country, or is it tailor-made to our own realities here, our own market here?
It's actually a little bit of both.
Okay.
So we've seen countries as big as India where, we have about over 80-something% financially included, and about 200 million people over the last 3 years brought into formal financial services, a bank-led model. The third party in India, a company called Paytm, has about 17% of the market, but it's a bank-led model primarily. And so we think when you look at countries like that, or China, where it is a third-party-led model, or Brazil, there's some big countries that we can compare ourselves to, and they followed a similar model. So in Nigeria, we're saying, look, the way you get to the masses is the agent. In the communities, people trust the agent, and then you now offer them services that they can get at the agent and also access it on their own phone. And if they don't have phones, we recognize that there is an issue to be dealt with there for people who don't have phones, and I think the innovation is coming out very soon around how would we address those people.
That's a lot of feet on the ground.
It's a lot of feet on the ground, and that's the way you have to do it, right? It's the way you're going to reach people. So we've seen it live for the last 5 years we've been to the public. We now have about 8.1 million users on our platform, and we're seeing jobs being created. We're seeing people actually accessing the service. They don't trust Paga first. They trust the agent, who has been in their community for all this time, right? And that's who they trust. And the interesting thing about this is that agent is not someone who sells airtime on the side of the road, because the person who sells airtime on the side of the road to you cannot afford to do this business. They don't have the capital it takes to do this business. And so you actually have to look for different people. So one of the exciting stories for me, yesterday one of our agents reached out to me, a gentleman by the name of TJ, and TJ used to sell Yoruba films before he became a Paga agent just about 4 years ago. And now he's one of our top 5 agents and has 3 different outlets in Ogun State. And we're talking about Ogun State the other time I was on. And he now hires 12 people. And his comment to me was, you've now made it, you made it clear to me that we can actually reach the skies by offering services in my community. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just have one last question. It's a quick one. We have a target for 2020. It's 80% financial inclusion by 2020. Do you think that we will meet this?
I think it's a very aggressive target. I think we'll get very close to it, but I don't think we'll meet it.